Sensors are collecting all clouds. A major purge is underway in China. High-ranking generals and officials in the Chinese military are being purged one by one. Today, let's take a closer look at this. Let's get right into it. On October 17, the Chinese Ministry of Defense announced that 9 high-ranking officials, including He Weidong, the former vice chairman of the Central Military Commission, who was 3rd in the military hierarchy, and Miao Hua, the former director of the Political Work Department of the Central Military Commission, who was 5th in the hierarchy, would be expelled from the Chinese Communist Party and the military. Rumors of their purge spread after they disappeared or stopped appearing publicly. Now, the Chinese Ministry of Defense has officially confirmed it. Former Central Military Commission Vice Chairman He Weidong and former Director Miao Hua, known as close associates of President Xi Jinping, are fueling further suspicion. According to the Chinese Ministry of Defense, He Weidong and Miao Hua were expelled for seriously violating discipline and laws, including charges of corruption. In addition, He Hongjin, former Executive Deputy Director of the Political Work Department of the Central Military Commission, Wang Shubin, former Executive Deputy Director of the Joint Operations Command Center of the Central Military Commission, Ling Shangliang, former Commander of the Eastern Theater Command, Qin Shutong, former Political Commissar of the Army, Yuan Huaji, former Political Commissar of the Navy, Wang Hehubin, former Commander of the Rocket Force, and Wang Chunying, former Commander of the Armed Police Force, were also purged. All were punished for corruption, making this the largest purge in China in decades. In addition, according to American Broadcasting Company News, there are reports that up to 15 more committee members are expected to be purged or replaced in the Central Committee. 1 person died and 14 were indicted for illegal activities. In addition, 5 well-known government ministers or provincial governors have also been dismissed from their positions due to personnel changes. Tang Renjian, former Minister of Agriculture, Wang Lixia, former chairwoman of the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region, Yi Huimian, former chairman of the China Securities Regulatory Commission, Lan Tianli, former chairman of the Guangxi Zhuang Autonomous Region, and Jin Xiangjin, governor of Hainan Province, were also included. It's very rare for someone like He Weidong to be purged. The only similar case of a Central Military Commission vice chairman being removed is Zhao Ziyang, who resigned after Tiananmen Square. But since Zhao was a civilian general secretary and only vice chairman by extension, he wasn't truly a military vice chairman. Since a military vice chairman has been removed, this is the first time since Mao Zedong. You may not realize how significant this is. It's like someone with more military power than the Minister of National Defense or Joint Chiefs Chairman being purged. It's an unusual event, so suspicions arise. The official newspaper of the Chinese military, Liberation Army Daily, published an editorial on October 18th calling for a resolute and thorough anti-corruption campaign within the military. They also commented on the announcement of the purge of high-ranking officials. They stated that the party Central Committee and the Central Military Commission have once again demonstrated their firm determination to carry out the anti-corruption campaign to the end, and that all officers and soldiers of the entire military and the armed police force will resolutely support the decisions of the Party Central Committee and firmly obey the leadership of the Party Central Committee, the Central Military Commission, and Chairman Xi Jinping. Too many people have been purged. Associate Professor Jonathan Ping of Bond University noted that while 15 Central Committee members were replaced in the 2017 purge, this time the number could be even higher, marking the largest political reshuffle. Now, just 4 members remain in the Central Military Commission, down from the original 7. In 2024, after former director Li Sangku lost his position for corruption, and others like He Weidong, Mao, and Yang Ma became official, only about 4 people remain, including President Xi Jinping. Now, they are in a situation where they need to select 3 more members. In particular, the timing of the announcement of He Weidong's expulsion is something to pay attention to. From October 20th to 23rd, an important event called the 4th Plenary Session is scheduled to take place in China. Replacements for these 3 members are expected to be announced at the 4th Plenary Session. I'll explain more later. Depending on who is appointed to replace these 3, we may be able to determine whether the rumors about Xi Jinping losing power are true or not. Foreign experts speculate Liu Jianli or Zhang Shengmin may be promoted to vice chairman, with Defense Minister Dong Zhongxian possibly joining the Central Military Commission. There are many rumors about Xi Jinping losing power. He Weidong is part of Xi Jinping's faction, and many purged individuals are also from Xi's side. Many suspect Xi Jinping may have lost his arms and legs. These stories often appear in the Chinese-speaking world. Western and Chinese perspectives differ, and I'll explain both. Major Western diplomatic and security experts consider President Xi Jinping's ouster highly unlikely even after recent Chinese military purges. In fact, President Xi Jinping has continued to appear actively on the diplomatic stage recently, clearly showing his presence as a leader. He maintains his routine as ruler by attending Communist Party meetings, inspecting local areas, and visiting industrial sites in different regions. Some assessments say rumors about his power weakening are unfounded. From the Western perspective, the essence of this purge lies in the continuation of the anti-corruption campaign promoted by President Xi Jinping. It's a process to eliminate military corruption and reinforce political loyalty. China's military, party, and state systems are highly hierarchical and closed. Therefore, it's considered institutionally almost impossible for an insider to overthrow the leader or for a military coup to occur. Western analysts instead highlight China's opaque political system. Since outsiders can't verify internal power structures, even small personnel changes or missed public appearances fuel rumors of political trouble or health problems. Under Xi Jinping's decade-long rule, rumors of his political downfall have surfaced nearly every year. Foreign media speculated using clues like Xi Jinping's disappearance or missed meetings, but none of these reports were ever confirmed. Xi Jinping, however, would quickly reappear to show strong leadership. This pattern clearly shows how closed off China's political system is to outsiders. Since foreign media and analysis agencies have almost no access to internal information, they have to infer the situation based only on observable clues. As a result, sometimes there is excessive interpretation, and that interpretation spreads again as rumors, creating a vicious cycle. Also, since power transitions in China are carried out strictly according to organizational procedures, not through voting or rebellion, the prevailing analysis from all sides is that it is realistically impossible for Xi Jinping to be forcibly removed from office or lose power through an internal coup. In other words, the current purge is seen not as a collapse of power, but as a reaffirmation of power. In other words, it is much more convincing to interpret it as a process of strengthening control. Those who say Xi Jinping could lose power are mostly Chinese-speaking media, especially in Taiwan, and some overseas Chinese communities. They do not see the recent large-scale purge within the Chinese military as a simple anti-corruption campaign, but rather interpret it as a sign that Xi Jinping's power base is actually being shaken. They are focusing on how many people have been purged. Most are either personally chosen by Xi Jinping or loyal generals he trusted and made central to military reform. With more leaders losing power, many in China believe Xi Jinping can't control the military anymore. Some say he's lost power because Zhang Yuxia, the first vice chairman, is thought to be behind recent military personnel changes. Zhang Yuxia is considered anti-Xi Jinping and is known in the military as a powerful figure. After the purge of the rocket force, many of the newly appointed key commanders are being analyzed as belonging to Zhang Yuxia's faction. As a result, there is speculation that control of the military may have shifted from Xi Jinping to Zhang Yuxia's line. Also, although it appears that President Xi Jinping is maintaining control over military appointments, especially around Yutou, it has been pointed out that in reality, personnel decisions cannot be made without internal military consensus and approval from elders and politicians. In other words, the claim is that Xi Jinping's control over the military is only being maintained in form, while in reality, Zhang Yuxia and the anti-Xi Jinping faction have already seized actual command. This view sees recent military purges as a political counterattack by forces trying to restrain Xi Jinping, not as his anti-corruption efforts. The Taiwanese side is especially emphasizing this point. Xi Jinping's military personnel reshuffles, meant to ensure absolute loyalty, are now said to be turning against him. Claims suggest Xi Jinping's allies have lost power in key departments like the Rocket Force, Navy, and Political Work Department, with major roles now held by Zhang Yuxia's faction. Taiwanese media suggests that although Xi Jinping remains president, he is now just a symbolic figure without real power, a puppet. Some Taiwanese experts view this as preparation for the end of the Xi Jinping regime. They say the anti-Xi Jinping faction controls the military, and senior politicians are reorganizing the party to politically isolate Xi Jinping. Things seem calm outwardly, but there's a fierce power struggle at the center of authority. From this perspective, the current purge is seen not just as internal cleansing, but as a sign that the holder of power is changing. Whether rumors of Xi Jinping's downfall are true will likely be decided at tomorrow's Central Committee meeting. At this Central Committee meeting, the main agenda will be discussing the 15th five-year plan, which contains the national development strategy for the next 5 years. High-level reshuffles are expected in the party, government, and military, including filling Central Committee vacancies and reorganizing the Central Military Commission after the military purge. Here, one of the previously mentioned committee members, Liu Zhenyi or Jiang Sung-min, will be promoted to vice chairman, and Dong Jin, the current Minister of National Defense, will not join the Central Military Commission. If an unexpected figure joins, it will fuel rumors of a political downfall, but if new members are close to Xi Jinping or include Liu Zhenyi, Jiang Sung-min, or Dong Jin, the rumors will just seem like conspiracy theories. In any case, it appears that a large-scale purge is currently taking place within the Chinese military. What exactly does this purge mean? Please leave your comments as well. That concludes the video. Thank you.